Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America. The NBA Finals are all set, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. We have a lot of news to take you through on this Friday morning.
And we begin, Michael, with another first in American history. Donald Trump, now the first and only man who's held the presidency to face a felony conviction. There you see the verdict sheet filled out by a New York jury of 7 men and 5 women, guilty on all 34 felony counts of falsifying business records as part of an illegal scheme to corrupt the 2016 election that made him president. This is the third time this year that citizen jurors have held Trump accountable. In January, an $83.3 million judgment for defaming E. Jean Carroll. In February, a $450 million judgment for civil fraud in his business dealings. Juries, ordinary people doing their duty under enormous stress, demonstrating civic courage. Remarkably, convicted felons can run for president. So this year, in this extraordinary time, American voters will be the ultimate jurors. We're going to cover all the fallout of this unprecedented event. We start with Aaron Katersky at the courthouse in Manhattan. Good morning, Aaron.
George, good morning to you. This was an extraordinary trial, and it is unlike any other in American history. We are expecting to hear from former President Trump today here at Trump Tower after a guilty verdict that will now echo throughout this year's presidential election. This morning, Donald Trump is a convicted felon. A jury of 12 New Yorkers found the former president and presumptive Republican nominee guilty as charged of all 34 counts. The historic verdict marks the first time a former president has been convicted of a crime. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said he simply did his job.
While this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law and doing so without fear or favor.
After 5 weeks of gripping testimony from 22 witnesses, the jury convicted Trump of falsifying business records so voters wouldn't find out he paid hush money to adult film actress Stormy Daniels.
It's a culmination of a lot of the pressure that she's been under the last few years and the assault really in the social media realm upon her, and just the fear of going through something like this and then coming to court and testifying for 2 days. There was a lot of emotion.
The payment to Daniels was meant to silence her claim of a sexual encounter with Trump. He denied the tryst, but prosecutors said he feared the story would sink his 2016 presidential campaign. They called it the subversion of democracy. The jury deliberated nearly 10 hours over 2 days and seemed prepared to go home before a dramatic turn in the courtroom. Judge Juan Merchan was preparing to dismiss the jury for the day. Then jurors signaled they had reached a verdict. Trump, who had been joking and laughing with defense attorney Todd Blanche, suddenly rigid, stone-faced, looking down as the jury read the verdict count by count. It took 2 minutes. Trump shut his eyes and shook his head, and he lashed out as he left court.
It's just a disgrace, and we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end, and we'll win.
Trump and his allies cast doubt on his conviction, harnessing Trump's political power and his grip on the Republican Party to rally supporters around calls for retaliation ahead of the election this fall.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
Outside court, the stunning conviction became a moment of celebration. And star witness Michael Cohen, who the defense called the greatest liar of all time, hailed what he called an important day for accountability and the rule of law. Cohen saying the truth always matters. Trump's lawyer said there will be an appeal.
As soon as we can appeal, we will. And the process in New York is there's a sentencing, and then we appeal from there.
The sentencing hearing is coming up on July 11th. That's just days before the Republican National Convention. George, the former president, faces up to 4 years in prison. George.
Aaron Katersky, thanks. We are joined now by the star witness, Michael Cohen. Michael, thanks for coming back.
Good to see you, George.
GMA. You were here with us sitting in that chair in March 2023. You predicted this outcome, so you're not surprised.
No, I'm not. In fact, next month, George, is when you and I sat down for that historic change in my life. That was July 1st. Of 2018, 6 years ago, when I turned around and I told you that my wife, my daughter, my son, and my country have my first loyalty. And this has been one heck of a journey in order to keep it.
One heck of a journey. How about that time in the courtroom? What was the toughest moment for you?
I really didn't have a single moment that was tougher than the 21 hours that they had me on the stand, whether it was on direct or on cross-examination. The whole thing was very tough. It's emotionally draining because you have to be perfect. I knew that any mistake that I made would be just, it would become the topic of conversation that would just explode. And so I really just needed to stay focused. And it wasn't easy with Todd Blanche. He's a meanderer as it goes to questioning.
He called you the greatest liar of all time. You've been convicted for lying. Are you done lying?
Yeah, you know, I want people to also remember, I take responsibility for what I did. But remember that the lie, we have to remember what it was. It was the number of times that I claimed to have spoken to Donald about the failed Trump Tower Moscow project. I stated 3 versus 10. I shouldn't have done it, but I did it in coordination and at the direction of Donald, Jay Sekulow, Ivanka, Jared, Abilol, Ty Cobb. There was a whole group of people involved in the creation of that document. Now, I don't ignore my responsibility. I accepted it and in part went to prison for it. But I don't want people to think, you know, just because you lied about that, I didn't really think it was all that material, but I took responsibility for it.
And you're done now?
Absolutely done.
Did you have any moments in the courtroom where you actually had some kind of contact, communication with Donald Trump?
Only once. The rest of the time, he had his eyes closed. He was slumped back, not sure whether he was sleeping or just resting his eyes, as he would say. But there was very limited interaction. Not to mention where you sit, it's very difficult to see the defendant the way that the judge's box versus the witness box to see the defendant who's more to the right. I had a better view to the left of me of the jury than I did of Donald.
I'm just wondering what that was like for you. You spent years fighting for Donald Trump, bullying people for Donald Trump, even lying, as you just said, for Donald Trump in coordination with his people. Do you wish you'd never met him?
I do. I do. This has been enormously difficult on my family more than anything. It's been hard on me, but as hard as it is on me, watching my family suffer as a direct result of my actions and the misloyalty that I gave to Donald, it's something that haunts me every day.
So how did you feel when you heard that first guilty?
I let out just a gasp of air. I can't, 6 years. Remember the first time that I met with the District Attorney of New York's people, I was a prisoner in Otisville. I was in my greens. And they came back 2 more times after that. 3 times I met with DAs for New York while I was at Otisville. So this has been a long time coming for accountability.
As you know, there are a lot of Republican office holders out here, including the Speaker of the House, who are saying this is a disgrace. They're still backing Donald Trump. What's your message to Republican politicians and voters who are still considering voting for Donald Trump for president?
I'm not sure how it makes any sense. This is not just now a felon, convict, but it's also a man who has openly stated he wants to rewrite the Constitution on day one. He wants to be a dictator. Not my words, his words. He wants to destroy our tripartite system of government. He wants to get rid of the judiciary and the legislative branch and confer all power to the executive branch, meaning himself, turning himself into a king, a monarch. This country for 259 years has followed one simple principle, democracy, based on the Constitution. He wants to rewrite it as if he could. It's just terrible. So how it is that he's still even in the running, why anybody would want to vote for somebody who is anti-democratic makes no sense to me.
So the verdict is in, start of a new chapter for you?
I have to figure it out. I'm really not even sure where to go. Don't forget, it's another year before I can even reapply for my law license. My business, I've lost. Banks, very difficult to work with. They certainly don't make it easy for people coming out to reintegrate into society. I'm a little bit more fortunate than the average, but it's still difficult nonetheless.
Thank you for coming in today.
Great to see you again, George.
Michael?
All right, thank you, George. Let's go now to Chief White House Correspondent Mary Bruce. And Mary, the president has not commented on the verdict.
Yeah, Michael, he has not. The president himself has not weighed in on this, but his campaign says this shows that no one is above the law. They are, though, trying to walk a fine line here. Obviously, they want to take advantage of this politically, but the Biden campaign has also been careful not to celebrate this too much. They don't want to feed into Trump's baseless narrative that this was all somehow orchestrated by the president. Instead, the Biden campaign is hammering the point that while Donald Trump may be a convicted felon, he can still win in November. The campaign, in a somber, somewhat muted statement, saying today's verdict does not change the fact that there is still only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office, saying it is at the ballot box. Adding convicted felon or not, Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. Now, don't expect the Biden campaign to completely upend its messaging because of this. I'm told they're going to continue to focus on what is at stake in this election, highlighting abortion rights and the threat to democracy. The big question now is just how much will President Biden and his campaign lean in to Trump's conviction. Biden has stayed largely silent on this trial. He is expected to comment on the verdict at some point. Michael, he is back at the White House this morning. We'll see if he takes our questions.
And we know you'll be covering it for us. Mary Bruce, thank you so much for that. And one of the big questions, what will the verdict mean to voters? Our political director, Rick Klein, joined us now. Good morning, Rick.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. This was a long trial with a lot of embarrassing developments for Donald Trump. But if anything, Donald Trump is stronger now than he was at the start of the trial. You see this very narrow lead that's been pretty persistent. Donald Trump leading by about 2 points as of now. But that said, there are Trump voters who have said that a verdict in this matter would make a big difference. This was from our poll from a couple of weeks ago. We saw 80% of Trump's supporters say they would continue to support him no matter what. But that's another 20% total that would either reconsider or withdraw their support based on a conviction. That's 1 in 5 Trump voters, which is an enormous number in an election that is expected to be as close as this one. And here's just one example of how that plays out in practice. This is a poll from just a couple of weeks ago. Like many other polls, a narrow Trump lead if you just ask the straight head-to-head, 44-40. But if you add that condition, you ask people, what if he's convicted? You see Trump's support dropping by 5 points, Biden's growing by 3 points. A much different race suddenly if you talk about a conviction. The bottom line is we are in uncharted territory. There is really no precedent for this. And we've talked to some voters, undecided voters, who say they're more firmly in Biden's camp, even some who say this is pushing them toward Trump. But we're not going to know. And the bottom line is in an election this close, everything can matter. This clearly could be a huge development. George?
Okay, Rick, thanks. It's our Chief Legal Analyst Dan Abrams and Rachel Scott, who's covering the Trump campaign. Dan, let me begin with you. Walk us through what kind of sentence Donald Trump will be facing.
Anything from no time to up to 4 years. We hear the term 34 counts. Yes, it's true. But effectively for sentencing, that's 1 count. It would all be served concurrently at the same time. There's no way this would be happening consecutively. The real question is going to be, even if there is no jail time, which most people expect no jail time.
First-time offender.
Correct. Low-level felony, lowest level in New York State. But the question becomes, okay, what about the possibility of home confinement? What about the possibility of community service? What about the possibility of probation? And question 2 is, when would it be served? And it would likely happen after all the appeals have been exhausted.
One other question on that. In Florida, convicted felons cannot vote until after they serve their sentence, but there's a quirk in the New York law that will allow Donald Trump to vote in this election?
Right, because Florida law defers to the place where the conviction occurred. The conviction occurred in New York, so New York law applies. And in New York, the only way you can't vote is if you are a felon currently serving time in prison, so it won't prevent him from voting.
And Rachel, remarkably and yet predictably, Republican politicians falling in line to support a convicted felon.
Donald Trump has a very tight grip on the Republican Party, and the indictments didn't really matter for most of the Republican Party. Neither does this conviction on all counts in this case. The Speaker of the House is second in line to the presidency, who showed up outside of that Manhattan courthouse to show support for the former president, called this a shameful day, saying this was a political exercise, not a legal one. Even some of Trump's toughest critics in the past, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, his former rival, who once said the indictment sucked out the oxygen out of the Republican primary, he blasted this verdict, as did Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who we know has a very icy relationship with Donald Trump. In a lot of ways, George, the Republican Party is now closer to the former president even after this guilty verdict.
What do we know about what Trump is going to do next?
You know, look, the reality is that the playbook for Trump remains the same. It doesn't really matter what exactly the verdict was going going to be. The Trump campaign was going to fundraise off of this. He was going to use it as a rallying cry. But for a lot of Trump's advisors, this was something that was unthinkable a year ago. The idea that this case would even be brought to daylight. The idea that not alone that he'd be convicted on all 34 counts, Donald Trump is now faced with something we have never seen before in American history. He is going to be campaigning as a convicted felon. And the question now, how does that settle with the American voters?
Completely uncharted waters. Thank you both very much. Rebecca?
All right, George. Coming up, the friend who was with Johnny Wachter when the General Hospital star was killed tells us about his last moments.
And less than a year after the deadly submersible implosion, why two men are trying to go down to the Titanic wreckage.
And the winner of the National Spelling Bee joins us. But first, we go to Ginger. Hey, Ginge.
I was going to say, it's WIND this morning that we're talking about, Rebecca. And actually, it's just been just over 2 weeks since Houston was smacked with those 80 to 100 mile per hour winds that knocked out power for more than a week for some people. And they're going to get hit again in just minutes this morning. It's over Cypress now. Severe thunderstorm warning with 60 mile per hour winds in it has already moved through College Station. And just yesterday, Midland, Texas, they had landspout and a tornado, both recorded. And if it felt like it's been a really busy May and a busy season, you are correct. Since 1990, this is the second most tornadoes that we have seen. We could add another one today, probably more like a Monroe, Louisiana, parts of Greenville, Mississippi, or southeastern Arkansas.
Oh boy, what a great crowd we have here in Times Square. We're going to tell you why they are all here coming up right on GMA when we come back.
We've got the exclusive view behind the table. Every day, right after the show, while the topics are still hot, the ladies go deeper into the moments that make the View the View. The Views Behind the Table podcast. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
When it comes to winning elections, is it really the economy, stupid? Are soccer moms the quintessential swing voter? And does it matter which candidate you'd rather share a beer with? Every election cycle, cliches come easy. But are they right? In a new series on the 538 Politics podcast, we're taking a look back at conventional wisdom from past elections. Where did that wisdom come from? And does it hold up today? Find the Campaign Throwback series in the 538 Politics feed wherever you get your podcasts.
Doncic again, another three. Got it! He's a flamethrower! He is on fire! 20 points!
He was on fire last night. Welcome back to GMA. The Dallas Mavericks are heading to the NBA Finals. Luka Doncic was named the MVP of the Western Conference Finals, and he's going to make his first Finals appearance. Cannot wait to see that, the Finals, when it rolls around. Lara stayed up late, of course, to watch the game, and she's going to have more on what you missed just ahead.
He has been so dominant.
Oh, yeah.
We are following a lot of headlines right now. Donald Trump will speak later this morning after he was convicted in the hush money case. The former president, Republican nominee, found guilty as charged of all 34 counts. He's going to be sentenced in July, just 4 days before the start of the GOP convention that will choose him as the Republican presidential nominee. Also right now, a third case of bird flu has been found in a person in the U.S. It was a farm worker in Michigan who came in contact with an infected cow. The person is recovering from respiratory symptoms. The CDC reiterated that the bird flu risk is to the general public right now is very low.
Also, the taste of your morning orange juice could soon change. Orange production in Florida and Brazil, both major growers of oranges, is down, so the price of oranges is soaring. So OJ makers could start blending other juices into orange juice or use mandarin oranges to cut down on costs. And New York's governor wants to ban kids from using smartphones at school. So-called dumb phones would still be allowed. Those are the phones that don't have internet access, so kids and parents can still text each other. That ban could come to a vote early next year. And I have to say, dumb phones.
Yeah. I gotta say, well, I had a dumb phone back in the day. That's what a phone was.
I didn't even have a phone back in the day. And I'm really, as a parent of a 5-year-old, I'm excited to see more states considering rules like this. We've got a lot more ahead, including Boeing's plan to improve safety and quality control. That is coming up.
And now we're going to turn to the co-worker who was with Johnny Wachter when the former General Hospital actor was gunned down, speaking for the first time about that tragic night. Mola Lenge joins us with the story. Good morning, Mola.
Well, good morning, Michael. Yeah, we spoke with Wachter's co-worker and good friend who was with him when he was shot and killed. Wachter basically dying in her arms as she recalls to us those harrowing moments.
It all happened in an instant. All of my being just kind of like dropped to my ankles.
Just days after the tragic shooting death of General Hospital star Johnny Wachter, his friend and co-worker Anita Joy, who was with him in those final moments, sitting down with GMA, recounting that harrowing night.
This felt completely helpless. There's nothing in my knowledge that I could have done aside from like trying to give him support.
The two had just finished their bartending shift at around 3 a.m. in downtown Los Angeles and were walking to their cars when police say they came across 3 suspects in masks attempting to steal Wachter's catalytic converter.
Can you take me back to that night?
A man is down like on his knees putting a jack under the car, and he had the car halfway jacked up. And then we realized this is not tow people. He had a ski mask on, so we were just suddenly like, oh no, this is bad.
Joy says Wachter then approached one of the suspects, who Joy says instantly opened fire on the 37-year-old before fleeing in a dark sedan.
He approached the man just like one step forward, and I hear a loud crack. He just came flying backwards towards me.
Johnny.
Johnny did, yeah.
That moment when Johnny says, shot, what's sort of going through your head?
I was just thinking, I was like, okay, shot, what's next? I didn't see the wound yet. I could feel the blood. I had blood in my hands. So I ripped his shirt open, and he had a shot right to his chest.
Joy says she screamed for help, and a nearby security guard called 911. Joy tying her jacket around Wachter to stop the bleeding, but it wasn't enough.
I was just screaming at him, trying to tell him to stay with me and that I love him and, don't go. That was just all that could come out of me at that moment.
Do you feel like you were losing him in those moments?
Yeah.
How do you guys want Johnny to be remembered?
He was the guy to give you the shirt off his back. He was the guy to step in front of you if you're going to get shot. You could be friends with him for 10 minutes. You can be friends with him for 10 years, and it's almost the same energy that he would give you.
And with the suspect still at large, nearly a week later, police now seeking the public's help in identifying those behind that senseless killing.
I hope that they're terrified, and I hope that somehow we find them. They didn't even get the catalytic converter. That's what they were going for. They left with Johnny's life instead.
Juanita telling us that she's hoping those suspects are ultimately caught and convicted. That manhunt now going on day 6. Still no arrests, no suspects. Of course, police are still investigating. And now, guys, they're asking for the public's help.
Yeah, just an unnecessary tragedy there. Thank you so much for that, Mola. Coming up next, the men planning to journey down to the wreck of the Titanic after the disaster that killed 5 people. Why they're doing it when we come back.
We are back with the new plans to return to the Titanic site as we approach the 1-year anniversary of the submersible implosion that left 5 people dead. Will Reeve spoke with the man on a mission. Good morning, Will.
Yeah, good morning, George. The memory of the OceanGate Titan catastrophe is still fresh in people's minds and conjured again now with the headline that a wealthy businessman wants to give it another try. But Larry Connor, who has experience diving to the deepest point on Earth and even has been to outer space, has an answer to the question many are asking when they learn of this plan, which is why?
It was the search and recovery mission that captivated the world.
The debris field has been found near the Titanic wreckage.
All 5 people aboard the OceanGate Titan submersible losing their lives last year, journeying to the infamous wreck. Now, less than a year later, these 2 men, Patrick Leahy, CEO and co-founder of another submersible company, Triton Submarines, and wealthy entrepreneur and adventurer Larry Connor, want another shot. Connor speaking with GMA about their plans.
The natural question is why? Almost 3/4 of the Earth is covered in water. Isn't doing research important and worthwhile, given that fact?
What is then the purpose of this planned dive down to the Titanic?
To demonstrate safety. If you look at submersibles that have been DNV certified, there's never been an accident. The OceanGate vessel was not certified and would never have been.
OceanGate could not be reached for comment. Connor says he and Leahy are designing a new, safer, and certified submersible known as the Explorer, which will cost $13 to $15 million. It'll carry 2 people, have an acrylic hull,
and offer a near panoramic view.
Ready to go, guys?
Yeah.
5 years ago, I went to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean in a submersible similar to the one Connor and Lahi plan to build.
How confident are you this will work?
Very confident. But the moment we don't meet one standard, the project is done. We will not compromise safety.
Are you afraid to go?
I will not go any place or do any dives if I'm not 100% convinced that the submersible is safe.
Deep sea exploration carries inherent risk.
I don't think that a technology such as deep sea submersibles should be abandoned for a single accident. If you think about space travel, right, in the early days of Apollo, we lost an entire crew. But that tells us what we have done wrong in the past and how to get it right in the future.
Connor says if it passes all the safety requirements, the Explorer, which hasn't been built yet and won't be ready until at least the summer of 2026, will make 3 trips, 2 for scientific research and 1 to view the Titanic wreckage.
Thank you, Will.
You got it.
Coming up later, how 1 kidney donation saved 2 lives and created an extended family. It's an ABC News exclusive. And next, the winner of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, here for our play of the day.
We are back now with our play of the day. The winner of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, 12-year-old Bruhat Soma from Tampa, Florida, beat 244 other competitors to take the 2024 championship title, and I spoke to him a little earlier. Welcome, Bruhat. It is great to see you, and we're so proud of you. How does it feel to be Spelling Bee champion?
This is what I've been working for 1 year, and I'm just really happy to win. I've been trying so hard. I've been working really hard. So yeah, just winning is just, I feel really happy. It's like a dream come true.
Well, all that hard work was certainly on display. 29 words in 90 seconds. I really couldn't believe my eyes or my ears as you went through that in the final round. What was that like? Were you nervous?
Well, so actually, with my dad, I used to do mock spell-offs. He would prepare words, and then he would just put a timer for 90 seconds, and I would just do the same thing. I would try to spell as many as I can correctly in 90 seconds, and I've been doing that every day for the past 6 months. So yeah, when the spell-off came, I was like, I actually have a shot at winning this.
Every single day for 6 months. What dedication. Your father said it was the proudest moment for the family. How does that make you feel?
Well, yeah, it makes me feel really happy because, yeah, I know winning Scripps is a really big thing. It takes really hard work to win.
And what do you want to say to all the people who've supported you along the way?
Yeah, to them, I'd like to say thank you. And yeah, and I'd also like to say, if you have a goal, just work for it and then you can do it.
Love that message. You also got $50,000 cash prize as part of winning the bee. Does that go straight to the college fund?
Well, actually, I'm just going to donate it because I know there's people who have less privileges than me, and I want them to feel happy too.
That is remarkable, paying it forward in such a beautiful way. Do you have your heart set? You're 12, but do you have your heart set on a future path?
Yeah, I want to be a doctor when I grow up.
You want to be a doctor? I bet you will be a tremendous doctor with your kind of commitment and your heart in all of this. What do you say to kids out there who are thinking right now, I want to be next year's Spelling Bee champion?
Yeah, so what I'd say is set a goal in the Spelling Bee. So whether you want to make finals or semis, or even if you want to win, just set that goal, then realize how much you have to work for it, and then just work for it, and then you'll win.
Going forward, what's your next big challenge?
Well, I want to go to a good university. I don't know what, but yeah, I just want to go to a big university.
I think you're well on your way to that, Bruhat. Congratulations to you and to your family. Really great dedication and kindness to boot. We love it.
Thank you so much.
He was so
Good
sweet.
kid.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Just work hard and you're going to get it.
It's that simple, George, right? We love that. Coming up, Ike Ejiochi is on a bucket list trip on a budget trip. And where are you, Ike? It's beautiful there.
Oh, yeah. I'm on the beach in beautiful Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and I'm going to show you how to have a blast without breaking the bank.
Lainey Wilson, now streaming on Hulu. The story you haven't heard.
I experienced a lot of heartache. I'm a tough woman, but it's not easy.
Lainey Wilson.
It's taken me a really long time to even get to this moment.
And the CMA Award for Entertainer of the Year
goes to
Lainey Wilson.
Hey y'all, it's Lainey. I cannot wait for you to see my special streaming on Hulu. This has been a wild ride, and you'll get to ride alongside me on this journey.
Lainey Wilson, Bell Bottom Country, now streaming only on Hulu.
People who disappear without a trace.
Where is she?
The most notorious murder cases in New York.
Pure evil.
And the most devious killers.
There's a Hannibal Lecter feel to him.
For chilling true crime stories, follow the True Crime NYC podcast wherever you listen.
Good morning, America. It's 8 a.m. Guilty as charged. The former president and Republican nominee convicted of falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Trump, the first president in history to be a convicted criminal, defiant. This morning, what his sentence could be, what it means for the race for the White House. His former fixer and key witness in the case, Michael Cohen, joins us live. Our team covering all the angles this morning.
Miraculous transplant. One man's decision to donate his kidney, saving not one, but 2 lives.
How do you feel?
I feel wonderful. Thank you so much.
That's great to hear.
The emotional moment they met for the first time and how it helped save his brother's life too. Their story only on GMA.
The Brat Pack is back. We have an exclusive sneak peek of the actors who own the 80s together again telling their story. First, Donald Trump, now the first and only man who's held the presidency to face a felony conviction. The verdict sheet filled out by a New York jury of 7 men and 5 women guilty on all 34 felony counts of falsifying business records as part of an illegal scheme to corrupt the 2016 election that made him president. I want to go back to Aaron Katersky at Trump Tower. Good morning, Aaron.
And good morning, George. Former President Trump is set to speak today at this building he built to put his mark on New York after a jury of 12 New Yorkers marked him as the first former president to be a convicted criminal. This morning, Donald Trump is a convicted felon. A jury of 12 New Yorkers found the former president and presumptive Republican nominee guilty as charged of all 34 counts. The historic verdict marks the first time a former president has been convicted of a crime.
And while this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law and doing so without fear or favor.
After 5 weeks of gripping testimony from 22 witnesses, the jury convicted Trump of falsifying business records so voters wouldn't find out he paid hush money to adult film actress Stormy Daniels.
It's a culmination of a lot of the pressure that she's been under the last few years, and there's a lot of emotion.
The payment to Daniels was meant to silence her claim of a sexual encounter with Trump. He denied the tryst, but prosecutors said he feared the story would sink his 2016 presidential campaign. They called it the subversion of democracy. The jury deliberated nearly 10 hours over 2 days. Then jurors signaled they had reached a verdict. Trump, who had been joking and laughing with defense attorney Todd Blanche, suddenly rigid, stone-faced, looking down as the jury read the verdict count by count. It took 2 minutes. Trump shut his eyes and shook his head, and he lashed out as he left court.
It's just a disgrace, and we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end, and we'll win.
Trump and his allies cast doubt on his conviction, harnessing Trump's political power and his grip on the Republican Party to rally supporters around calls for retaliation ahead of the election this fall.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
And star witness Michael Cohen, who the defense called the greatest liar of all time, hailed what he called an important day for accountability and the rule of law.
You spent years fighting for Donald Trump, bullying people for Donald Trump, even lying, as you just said, for Donald Trump in coordination with his people. Do you wish you had never met him?
I do. This has been enormously difficult on my family more than anything. It's been hard on me
But as hard as it is on me, watching my family suffer as a direct result of my actions and the misloyalty that I gave to Donald, it's something that haunts me every day.
Trump's lawyer said there will be an appeal.
As soon as we can appeal, we will. And the process in New York is there's a sentencing, and then we appeal from there.
Trump faces between 1.5 and 4 years in prison when he's sentenced on July 11th. George, that's just days before Trump is set to claim the Republican Party's nomination. George.
Okay, Aaron, thanks very much, Michael.
All right, George, we're going to go now to President Biden giving Ukraine permission to strike inside Russia using American weapons. Our chief global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz, joined us with the latest. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Michael. This is a major reversal, but with Russian troops just 20 miles across the border from Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, on the verge of a full-scale assault, President Biden gave the green light for Ukraine to launch American-supplied weapons into Russia itself. This is something Ukraine's President Zelensky has been pleading for, and more than a dozen countries have already approved similar moves. U.S. officials had voiced deep concerns that allowing hits on Russian soil would pull America further into this conflict, and there are restrictions. Officials insist that the U.S. weapons will only target Russian military sites that are being used to launch weapons into Kharkiv. Vladimir Putin already calling this an escalation, another step towards a serious conflict in Europe and around the globe. Rebecca?
A major reversal, as you say, with potential side effects. Okay, Martha, thank you. We turn now to aircraft maker Boeing delivering its plan to the FAA outlining quality and safety improvements. Trevor Ault is at Newark Airport with what Boeing plans to do to rebuild the nation's trust, and they have work to do. Good morning, Trevor.
They definitely do. Good morning, Rebecca. So Thursday, there was a meticulous 3-hour meeting between Boeing and the FAA in which Boeing laid out its plans to fix its safety and its quality control issues. And federal regulators say this is a good start, but they're going to be watching very closely, often with inspectors on hand. And Boeing says that its plans fall into 4 main categories. They're going to be investing in their workforce training, simplifying plans and processes, eliminating defects, and elevating a culture of safety and quality. And Boeing, of course, came under intense scrutiny after that door plug blew off an Alaska Airlines flight just a couple months ago. But even just since then, there's been several other concerning safety incidents and also some whistleblower accusations about falsified maintenance records. And the FAA has since capped Boeing's manufacturing of 737 MAX planes. And even with these new plans in place, that cap is it's definitely going to remain there until the FAA says it's fully satisfied that the safety standards have been raised. And there's no timeline for when that might be, although they did indicate it is very unlikely that's going to happen in the next several months. Now, just one example of one of the changes that Boeing says it's already implemented, they say they have now added 300 hours of training materials for their new mechanics and new inspectors. Guys?
All right, Trevor, thank you for that. Coming up in our GMA morning menu, an exclusive look at the new documentary on the Brat Pack, the young actors who ruled the 80s.
Also had our one man donating his kidney help save a stranger and his brother, connected 2 families. It's an ABC News exclusive.
And fans of Tomorrow by Together have been lining up in Times Square since last night. They were here bright and early this morning.
Plus, Ike Ajachi is on a bucket list on a budget trip to Mexico. He'll tell us how to make the most of the beach getaway without breaking the bank. And Lara's upstairs with Lori Bergamotto. Hey, Lara.
Hi, George. Yeah, Lori B has the right stuff on beach essentials, perfect for any bucket list trip or wherever you're enjoying the sand and the surf. It's coming up right here on a very summery edition of GMA. You know it.
Pretty Friday here in Manhattan. It's time for a GMA cover story about 2 brothers and a stranger connected by a life-saving kidney transplant. El Reshef has the story. Good morning, El.
Good morning to you, George. These 3 lives are now forever interconnected. Clay's selfless act of love for his brother, giving the gift of life to a stranger.
Dun, 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 dun. When Clay Garcelli decided to donate his kidney, the Californian didn't know his choice would change not 1, but 2 lives. How do you feel?
I feel wonderful. Thank you so much.
That's great to hear. What started it all? Clay's younger brother Carter needed a kidney.
It wasn't really like a question for me whether or not to do it. I was just
going to do it. And I just wanted to help him get as healthy as he possibly could and do the things that he'd want to do in his life.
Preliminary testing showed 26-year-old Clay wasn't a match for his brother, but UCLA Health has a kidney exchange program. Clay's donation to a stranger guaranteed his brother a compatible kidney from someone else. In December, Clay donated his kidney to 57-year-old Sonia Glover, who had been waiting for a match for almost 10 years.
He's my angel. I told him and his wife, like, we're connected forever. You guys will get random cards from me. It's like, it's like you're my family now.
Watch the emotional moment they met for the first time.
Thank you so much.
22-year-old Carter, at home on dialysis, waited anxiously for a match.
Because I had gotten so used to not feeling that well, I didn't notice how bad I felt.
And in February, Carter got a new kidney from an anonymous donor.
I feel great. I'm able to go out and do stuff again. Like, I feel so much better.
Clay, always a hero to his little brother, even more so now.
There's not enough I can do to thank him for what he's done for me. What he did truly did save my life, and I can't thank him enough for it.
And Sonia, forever thankful.
Words can't express how grateful I am for Clay and his brother. They started this whole process. I just thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Appreciation is not enough.
And to add a little bit more sweetness to this, Sonia's granddaughter was born at UCLA just days after her transplant. Take a look here. This is the proud grandma with little Brighton Ivy. The saying goes, whoever saves one life saves the world entire. A beautiful story, guys.
Beautiful story. Thank you, Ariel. How about some pop news?
Yes, George, let's do it. Good morning to you all and to you. We will begin with the NBA. It must be hard to leave Snoop Dogg speechless, but that's exactly what Luka Doncic did last night as he led the Dallas Mavs to a blowout win, taking down Snoop's team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, in a 124-103 blowout to advance to the NBA Finals. It is their first trip back to the finals since 2011, and our friend, the always inspiring Mavericks CEO, Cint Marshall, is ready.
Let's go! Boston, here we go!
She just makes me smile. Doncic says he's taking nothing for granted against the tough Boston Celtics, and his partner in three-pointers, Kyrie Irving, says he's looking forward to facing off against his old team. The first game of the NBA Finals is next Thursday, guys. It's in Boston.
And I'm happy for my buddy Jason Kidd.
Yeah,
doing
that's
a great
a
job
big
coaching.
One. That would be great if they did it.
Be fantastic.
Whoever wins, it's going to be a great series. Hey, also in pop news this morning, news for lovers of smart comedies, that is. Okay, it's a play on words, but Gene Smart's show Hacks is just that. Yeah, see what I did, Stanley?
I do.
It's also funny, it's moving, and now it's officially a go for season 4, George.
Oh, wow.
The same day that the show premiered its season 3 finale. Who saw it?
Haven't yet.
That's my big Friday night, guys.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers here. But the same day that it premiered, HBO Max made the announcement saying, quote, the creative team behind this singular show is not only brilliant, but also a joy to work with. We couldn't be happier to give viewers another season with Deborah, Ava, and the rest of the Hacks family. Hannah Ann Einbinder will be back as Ava, as well as my favorite character, Deborah's manager, Jimmy, played by Paul Downs, who, by the way, is the creator, writer, and sometimes director of the series.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's very talented.
So fantastic. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Hacks Season 3, now streaming on Max. And then finally, guys, if you remember the Brat Pack like Sam and I do,
yes,
then you will love this story. And if you aren't familiar, we're talking about a group of the hottest Hollywood stars that dominated pop culture in the 80s. In 1985, after a guy named Rob Lowe, Andrew McCarthy, Judd Nelson, Demi Moore, Emilio Estevez, and Ali Sheedy made the cult classic film St. Elmo's Fire, which Sam and I have recreated many times. New York Magazine coined the term the Brat Pack as a riff on the Rat Pack. And today, the Pack, one of them, Andrew McCarthy, has made a documentary about what it was like to be part of that phenomenon. Here is an exclusive look of some very familiar faces from the doc, Brats.
So who's in the Brat Pack then? I would.
No, it's interesting. I mean, it's not. It's ridiculous, but it's
it's true.
Because it's 80s culture.
It's you. It's Judd Nelson. It's Emilio.
I've been trying to answer this question for years.
Yeah. The Brat Pack was just us.
People would say Molly's in the Brat Pack.
Really?
Molly Ringwald.
I don't see Demi or Allie being part of that.
Demi, Allie, John Cryer.
I am not in the Brat Pack.
What are the Brat Pack movies?
I don't know. Is Fast Times at Ridgemont High Brat Pack?
Is Young Guns a Brat Pack movie? No.
The Outsiders. Well, Emilio and Rob Lowe are in that, but is Tom Cruise in the Brat Pack?
I've got to do what's good for me.
Would you put Matt Dillon in the Brat Pack?
You were probably the center of the nucleus because of the article, and then you were in the 2 movies. But then so was Judd.
Judd Nelson, Ali Sheedy, Molly Ringwald, Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe.
Who are we forgetting?
Demi Moore.
Demi Moore and me.
And you.
And that it didn't really exist doesn't matter.
Causing fierce debate right here on
Molly
the site.
Ringwald, yes.
I say yes too.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, no.
Absolutely not.
And who else?
Emilio, of course.
Yes.
Demi, obviously.
Demi, yes, clearly yes.
Duh.
Okay.
I'm still stuck on you guys recreating St. Elmo's Fire.
You know, on a stormy, misty night, George, every time.
It happens.
Every time.
Bratz premieres on Thursday, June 13th. I don't know what camera to look at. I'm just captivated by our conversation. If you want to take a walk down memory lane before it premieres, check out some Brat Pack classics like The Breakfast Club and Sam and my favorite, St. Elmo's Fire. That's also on Hulu, everybody. And that's Pop News, George.
Thank you, team. That's execution. Let's go to Ginger.
Hey, we've been watching almost solely Brat Pack movies as a lead up to this. That's how excited Ben and I are. So I'm with you. With you for sure. Houston earlier this morning just had a severe thunderstorm roll through. This is just over 2 weeks since they had that blast of 80 to 100 mile per hour winds. Texas is going to be in the threat area today. That severe thunderstorm watch goes for another couple hours, as do flood watches in Louisiana too. And we want you to be extra careful because this is the type of thing that can happen. It happened earlier this week with flash flooding. You get caught there and you don't have a way out. You almost need Matt Gutman's tip, right? You have to have the windows down, but they did get that person out, thankfully. More rain where that came from.
Right stuff. That's right. Time now for the right stuff. And we're gearing up for summer, and Lori Bergamotto is here to help us prep for our next beach trip with her favorite beach essentials. So let's get to it.
Ready to go to the beach?
You look like you're ready for the beach.
I am. I'm really channeling that summer vibe, Michael Strahan.
I need a blanket when I go to the beach. And
of course we do. And we know you're sort of a supersized personality, so we need a supersized blanket for you. I'll hold this side if you'll grab here, this side here. This blanket is the #1 selling beach blanket in its category on Amazon. It has over 12,000 positive reviews. It's 10 feet by 9 feet. So Michael Strahan for scale. I love to say that. I love when we get to put that next to you. There you go. This is sand-proof, water-resistant. Because I don't know about you. Are you a person who likes the sand?
No, I don't want to,
really don't like the sand. So having a blanket where, oh, look at that. Now, thank you for doing that because now that you've gotten, whisked it away, I want to show that you can also fold it down.
Oh, it comes
and
like
it's super compact. So it's under $40. All of these great things can accommodate a large family, and it's really light and toteable. So what's not to love?
Perfect. All right, if you're going to have a beach blanket, you need a beach
chair.
A chair.
Yes.
Beach chair.
Okay. And this one, you're not going to do better. This is a warm weather workhorse. So it has a backpack. This is from Tommy Bahama. It's their deluxe backpack beach chair. So you can see it's very lightweight and easy to carry. It has 5 positions, so it can, recline just how you like it, and then also it can lay flat. Also, it has an insulated cooler, so you can carry some. I'm just cracking up at the idea of you carrying this on your back. It has insulated coolers so you can carry drinks with you, a place for your cell phone. This is like a #1 bestseller for them, and it's under $90.
And then you get a little tired, you just lay back on it.
Yeah, it lays right back. Okay.
And go to sleep.
This is really fun. So I like to cool down at the beach, but don't always want to go in the water. You don't want to be so hot. So this little thing here is, we got this on Amazon. It's under $15. Whoops, wrong one. I'm pressing the flashlight button. So it's a flashlight and a fan. The fan is already on here. And what it does is, it looks like this. It's just a little compact thing, portable. It's the #1 portable fan in the world, Michael Strahan. And you can actually charge, thank you. Give me a little Beyonce action.
Your hair is moving.
Yes. And you can charge your phone with it too. So it does those 3 things. And it's just really great. There we go. I just popped it back on here. It's just really great, easy. Everybody was already trying to be like, oh, can I have one of those after the segment's over? Because it's something that everybody really wants.
And everybody's going to the beach. Good weekend to do it here in New York.
Exactly. Okay.
All right. Sunscreen.
This is a thing it's an essential, right?
Yes.
And Sunbum is an industry leader in this category because they make things for babies, for babies, kids, and adults. I don't know if you remember the days of trying to put sunscreen on your kids. It's like wrestling an angry worm. This is so great because it's a roll-on.
I've never seen that.
Isn't that cool?
Maybe
so you
I'm
can just
late to the party.
Well, it's kind of innovative and brand new. So there's a lot of great things. UVA, UVB protective, and dermatologist approved. But now that we've got sunscreen, we can't forget about refreshments.
You gotta have some refreshments.
This RTIC cooler, industry leader in the category. Feel how lightweight it is. It carries up to 30 cans.
Stuff like nothing.
It floats, Michael Strand. So if you're boating this weekend or on the beach,
in the pool at the beach,
you just want it to float. It's fantastic. It keeps things cold for up to 2 days. So this is the thing to get. RTIC.
And I like our fake ice. Nothing like a good fake ice. Lori, thank you so much as always.
Thank you.
Everybody, you know where to get these products. And coming up, our bucket list on a budget heads to the beaches of Mexico. So you stay right there. Ika Josh is going to bring that to us. Lucky man gets to go to Mexico. He forgot his cooler, though.
Cooler, I know.
All right, we'll be right back.
And it's time for our series Bucket List on a Budget, where we have teamed up with the Points guys for insider tips on summer vacations without breaking the bank. This morning, Ika Josh is on the beach in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Good morning, Ike.
Buenos dias. Good morning. I'm here at the Sandos Caracol Eco Resort, and if you think a vacation this beautiful is out of reach, think again. We have beautiful white sand beaches, all the adventure and luxury of an all-inclusive resort, but most importantly, big savings.
From the crystal clear waters to the miles of white sand beaches and the rich culture threaded through Mexico's history, the Yucatan Peninsula has landed itself a spot in our bucket list. But if a beach getaway to popular destinations like Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum seems out of reach, we've got you covered.
Mexico. I got my Ray neck pillow. I'm ready to get some sun. Vámonos. Let's go.
First up, flights. Let's take Houston. We found round-trip flights this summer for around $200 on airlines like Frontier and Spirit. As for budget-friendly accommodations, all-inclusive resorts.
The best part is they allow families especially to budget. Number one, comparison shop online using online travel agencies, but when you hone in on the one you want, contact them directly and negotiate for an even better rate and extra perks like airport pickups. Finally, take advantage of everything there is to offer. Go to the orientation and pay attention. You'd be shocked at some of the free, valuable activities you can get as part of your stay.
We're staying at the Sandos Caracol Eco Resort in Playa del Carmen, where this summer, best available rates are up to 55% off. 2 kids stay free.
And at all-inclusive resorts like this, not only are the food and the drinks included, but so are the activities. Woo! Woo! Now that's a deal that makes a splash in savings.
Take a bike tour on the resort trails.
Oh, look at that.
Or take a snorkel in a stunning natural underwater marvel.
You can even immerse yourself in ancient Mayan culture, like this sinkhole, also known as a cenote.
And the best part, no additional cost. They're all included. And if you want to get out and see Mexico like a local, book off-site excursions through your resort. Check if your hotel has affiliations with transportation or tour guide companies for any potential discounts. We got 10% off through a company affiliated with the resort.
After an hour drive, we finally made it to Tulum, and look at this.
Nestled on the cliffs of Tulum, ancient Mayan ruins looking over the Caribbean Sea.
Guys, it's tours like these where you get to really experience ancient Mexican culture. These ruins behind me were built over 800 years ago, and it's the only Mayan city built on a coast.
And take a trip to Parque Los Fundadores in Playa del Carmen, where you can see free performances like the Danza de los Voladores, the Dance of the Flyers. And head over to Fifth Avenue for shopping.
And you might be able to save a few bucks by haggling, but remember, always be kind and try to learn a few phrases in the language. ¿Me puedes dar descuento, por favor?
Claro que sí, excelente precio para los amigos. 500 pesos con descuento.
Ah, gracias.
De nada, amigo.
Bien.
And while you have unlimited food at the resorts, eat like a local with these cheap eats, like El Fagon, where the tacos will cost you less than $2 each.
That is phenomenal. And the best part, it's affordable.
Or desserts like fresas con crema, strawberries with cream. Stands like Fresas Aline selling this sweet dessert for as low as $4.
That is good.
And I have one last deal for you.
Yay!
The Captain Hook Show in Cancun is setting sail to the high seas with up to 20% off when you book in advance, and kids ages 2 to 11 are free. Savings do exist in paradise.
Now, if you want to know how much we save, normally a 5-day, 4-night stay for a family of 4 costs over $2,100. We did it for half the price, just $1,052. And guys, all-inclusive resorts, they often have live performances. I'm here with a bunch of performers from the resort's fire show ceremony, which represents Mexico's rich historical culture. Now, joining me now is Ismael Ventura. He is dressed as the Emperor. Ismael,
hello.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, I got to ask you something. Tell us the meaning behind this show.
Yeah, the show is about the creation of the universe through the animals who represent the 4 elements between our body, mind, and soul. It's a celebration of the humanity, finding love through the fire ceremony.
And I love the outfits. What's the inspiration behind them?
Yeah, the inspiration behind the costume was to reflect the Mexico's rich culture. You know, it's about like to expose the necklace with the feathers to create a unique personality for each of the characters.
I absolutely love it. And guys, you have to see this. This is an unbelievable performance. Guys, take it away.
Go!
Unbelievable, guys. How awesome was that? We are going to continue to have fun here, guys. Take it back to the studio.
So great. They have you energized, Ike. That's fantastic.
Great deals, too.
And you can shop for those deals for travel gear curated by the team from the Points Guy for Ike's trip to Mexico at goodmorningamerica.com. Coming up, gearing up for the Cricket World Cup, coming to America, one of the sports greats, Yuvraj Singh. He's here.
Back now for our finale of Asian American Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We're celebrating the Cricket World Cup coming to the U.S. soil for the first time, featuring the world's best players and watched by 2.5 billion fans globally. Shan Singh is here with all the excitement. Good morning to you, and this is amazing.
It is unreal, and good morning, Michael. That's right, 2.5 billion fans worldwide, making cricket the second most popular sport in the world. It's kind of crazy when you realize most Americans don't even know what it is. But it's here, it's on its biggest stage, and it's hoping to take sports fans across the country by storm. Let's take a look.
The Cricket Countdown is in full swing for its 2.5 billion fans across the globe. And for the first time ever, the Cricket World Cup is coming to America. For many South Asians, it's more than a ballgame. It's a religion.
Straight down the ground by a man who can do no wrong.
With over 1 million ticket applications vying for the biggest match of the year, India versus Pakistan, one of sport's biggest rivalries, taking place right here in the Big Apple.
That's high.
The tournament, consisting of 20 teams worldwide, like Australia, Sri Lanka, England, and South Africa,
Straight into the sand.
kicks off Saturday, bouncing between the West Indies and the U.S., with matches set in Texas, Florida, and New York. Up-and-coming Team USA looking to score big on its home turf. Bring a whole new fan base to the cricket craze. Cricket is played with 2 teams of 11. All you need is a ball, a flat bat, and wickets. The game is a distant cousin of baseball, but instead of 9 innings, there's only one.
Well hit.
With each team taking a turn to bat. The goal, outscore the other team by running between wickets to score a run. Big at-bats can get you 4 runs, and there's nothing better than hitting a sixer.
Absolutely in the slot.
And Michael, while fans can be excited about Team USA's debut at the T20 World Cup, there's actually some history there. The first ever international match of cricket was held between the United States and Canada back in 1884.
I had no idea about that, but you know, it's such a global sport. Now, you said 2.5 billion people, it's a lot of people. And join us now, it's one of the game's GOATs. When I say GOAT, Yuvraj Singh. Yes. You know what? You help us get our heads around this game. But thank you for coming to GMA. Welcome. Biggest sport in the world, actually. Now, you helped India win in 2007. Did you ever, we got the trophy right here, by the way, which you're very familiar with, but did you ever think that you would see the World Cup, Cricket World Cup, held here in the U.S.?
Well, nice to see you, Michael, and it's nice to be here, but never imagined that cricket would be played in America, definitely West Indies. It's first time. I think it's very exciting. ICC has built a couple of new stadiums, and I would like to see the Americans watching the sport. And obviously compare it to baseball is always, every time I speak to an American and they ask me, what is cricket? Tell them it's like baseball. We just don't run in 4 corners. We run straight and back.
Forward and back, straight and back. But there's also a difference in the equipment. So we got a little comparison of the equipment. So Sam Champion, come on out with something on. What you got, buddy?
Well, okay, all right. So Yuvraj, you've got to tell me what all of this is, right? So I mean, I've got pads and gloves. They wouldn't let me carry the bat, so you're going to have to show me how to swing.
Sure.
They were afraid I was going to hurt someone with it.
If I can compare the baseball swing to a cricket swing.
Okay.
Very similar though.
Well, don't look at me.
It's a similar setup.
Yeah.
But obviously in baseball, you kind of got to swing everything. And cricket, you just keep your bat down because the ball actually bounces on the field. And you take your time to swing. So it's
more finesse instead of just power?
Yeah, when you start off. But once you start getting in, you know, you can use your power. But I think the setup is very similar. Mm-hmm. The base is very strong, and I think the more power comes from here,
core,
your legs, your core.
Okay.
And you just swing. If you got to hit the ball out of the park like a home run, we call it a 6. So you just swing.
And Sam, you think you got it?
Michael, first of all, a baseball bat would be unusual for me. So this is way out of the ordinary. But how is it? I mean, is the grip okay?
Yeah, that's all right. It's not bad.
Okay.
You guys are more comfortable while in the field catching the ball with gloves.
Yeah.
So I hope your hands are okay, because we have to catch it with bare hands.
Wait a minute. How fast is that ball? And you're catching it with bare hands?
I mean, you know how when the ball goes into the air.
Now we were trying to demonstrate a glove. I don't understand why we.
That's not going to work for you, Michael.
All right. All right. Well, you know, so Sam, are you a righty or lefty, by the way?
I wouldn't know, Mike. What does that mean?
Never mind. Never mind. Now to the action. We're going to talk about on the field. How exactly is cricket different from baseball?
I think in baseball, I feel there's less time. Because after 3 strikes, you're out. In cricket, you only get 1 strike. And you got to think probably quicker. I think in baseball, you have to hit everything straight. In cricket, you can hit behind. And I just feel that if I look at baseball setup, I would think that I have to think way fast and
So it's faster action.
Yeah.
Faster action.
Yeah.
And the games can go for a long time. I do know that.
Yeah.
But let me tell you right now, let me try baseball. Sam, you too, buddy. But thank you for explaining this to me. We really appreciate you.
Very much.
And we're so excited that the Cricket World Cup is here. The 2024 Cricket World Cup starts tomorrow night. USA versus Canada at 8:30 Eastern. Now we're going to go to you, Ginger.
Hey, just like we were talking about, perfect golf weather for you this weekend, Michael, and perfect anything weather in the Northeast. Look at that. We started the morning around freezing at Saranac Lake, but already into the 50s, and we'll go into the 70s. So very average for this time of year, even though it's a little chilly early as you start. 44 for Pittsburgh there, but warming right up. The weekend looking glorious.
Now, in celebration of AANHPI Heritage Month, our GMA Buzz pick this morning is Shanghailanders by debut author Julie Min, and here she is to tell us about it.
Shanghailanders is about a wealthy, cosmopolitan, highly dysfunctional, mixed-race family living in Shanghai. The novel starts in 2040 at the midpoint crisis of a marriage, and it moves backwards in time to 2014 to uncover the secrets that make the family what it is today.
And Shanghailanders is available now and coming up tomorrow by Together.
Welcome back to GMA. We are back with K-pop sensation TXT, and they are back now with a new album. It's called Minisode 3 tomorrow, and they're going to perform a new track off the album in just a moment. We have fans outside, so excited for this. First, though, we want to chat with them. Thanks for coming. Thank you for being at Good Morning America today. So, another world tour is happening. Madison Square Garden is coming.
All right.
How do you prepare for something as big as Madison Square Garden?
We're thrilled to be performing at such an iconic venue, all thanks to our fans more. And we work especially hard for this tour to bring performances that are just as iconic.
Yes, yeah. I can't wait. I know you guys are known for your dancing. So the album debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, making you guys the second K-pop artist ever to enter the chart 10 times. What does that mean to you personally?
First of all, it's a great honor, and we hope to be a voice of our generation. And we are really grateful that many people around the world are listening to our music.
Yeah, they sure are.
That was fantastic. Want to thank you for watching, and a big thank you to TXT.